Hello, welcome back to the channel. I pray that you all are doing well. It's a lot going on in this world. And so today I want to discuss some things that are going on in this world. And I wanted to do a little research. I know last week or a few days ago, I posted a video just talking about some topics going on, but this one is still weighing really heavy on me. So I decided to come back and just dig a little bit deeper and carry you all along with me as I research right here in front of you, and we just try to get some understanding as to what's going on. So today I want to talk about power outage. Spain, Portugal, was it Madrid, and all that they had going on. So, that has just really had my gears up here turning. And so I've been like diving into it. And I actually watched a movie yesterday. It was like a apocalyptic movie, and I say that all the time. I just watched those, but it just had it had me thinking. And so I wanted to come on and just let us do a little bit of research, and let's see what all we can find out. In the last video, I also talked about the new change in leadership at the World Economic Forum. So I decided to go back to the World Economic Forum because, a lot of things is discussed there. And so I wanted to read to you. This was from, it says Davos, Switzerland, January the 18th. And it was in 2023. It was their annual meeting. And it was held in Switzerland. And so it reads, geopolitical instability is I'm not even gonna try it. Anyway, is the risk of catastrophic, y'all, that's my dryer. I decided to do laundry before I forgot I had the dryer going. I apologize. The risk of catastrophic cyber attacks, according to the Global Cyber Security Outlook 2023 report, which was launched today, which it would have been January 18th, 2023. It says the World Economic Forum annual meeting in 2023 in Davos, Switzerland. Over 93% of cybersecurity experts and 86% of business leaders believe a far-reaching catastrophic cyber event is likely in the next 2 years, okay? This was discussed in 2023, okay? Is likely in the next 2 years, and there is a critical skills gap that is threatening society and key infrastructure, okay? Yes, I do come on here and do videos, y'all, but I also have to clean and do everything as well. So I'm multitasking. So y'all know what a dryer sounds like. And at this point, while we're talking about a power outage, I'm just grateful that I have power to dry my clothes. So let me throw that in there. Thank you, Lord, that I have power to dry my clothes and record this video, okay? So I thought that was something that we need to pay attention to, especially with what just happened in Spain and Portugal, is that here they're stating that the likely, it says a cyber event is likely in the next 2 years. This was in 2023. You do the math. I'm not putting any dates or anything, but this is coming from the World Economic Forum, and I will link it below. And I just thought that was something that we need to really pay attention to, because I did a video some months back. Let me hold on for just a second. Okay, so remember, we did a video a while back, some months back, and I inserted the video from a what are they calling it? A mock event that they had for training for a, just in case there was a pandemic. And remember, shortly after they had their training, we had our pandemic. Okay, so when they tell us these things, I feel like we definitely need to be aware, because they are putting the information out there. Okay, and so it's up to us to find the information. And as I said, if you're new to this channel, on this channel, we are ladies that look to the ways of our home while also nurturing our mind, our body, as well as our spirit. Okay, and so the way that we look to our home is definitely inside our home, but also praying and covering our home and looking to things that are taking place outside. Okay, and preparing the best way that we can. Okay, and so I thought this was an interesting, very, very interesting. And I just thought that we needed to discuss that, because in here they are saying in the next 2 years, and then we had that event happen. Well, not America, but they had that event happen. So, sometimes things are trials in other areas, and then they flood to the rest, to different areas. Okay, so we need to be aware and pay attention. Okay, pay attention, because I will show you it right here so you can see it for yourself, and I will also link it so you can read it below. But this says the Global Cybersecurity Outlook 2023 findings. What I did notice is that now, this one was from 2023. Now there is a, let me pull it up right here. There is a, let's see. Now that was 2023. So now let's see, there's, hold on, it's not this one, I don't think. Okay. There is a new one. Let's see, because I just saw a new, yeah, there it is right there. Do you see that? Geopolitical instability raises a threat of a catastrophic cyber attack in the next 2 years. And this is from 2023. Okay. So they had the, oh yeah, here it is. So the beginning of this year, January the 10th, 2025, here is the new cyber, it says the Global Cyber Security Outlook 2025 from the World Economic Forum. Okay, so there is a new brochure that is 49 pages. Of course, we're not going to sit here and go over 49 pages. However, you can, because I am going to link this below. And so you can just go over the pamphlet. See, it says rapid adoption of AI introduces new vulnerabilities. Look at that. So, oh goodness. Understanding the complexity in cyberspace. The challenge for the year ahead. Oh, wow. Okay, y'all, we gonna look into this right here. This is in the, it says 1.2 section. The challenge for the year ahead. The 2025 report finds that a series of compounding factors are driving an escalating complexity in the cyber landscape. Geopolitical tension are contributing to a more uncertain environment. increased interrogation and dependence on more complex supply chains are leading to a more opaque and unpredictable risk landscape. This is from the 2025 report. So it's saying that AI has found new vulnerabilities that I guess could usher in what they stated previously at the meeting from 2023. So I'm gonna put this in there for you all to read, because you know that some of these words are censored, and with me being as new as I am on here, I don't know what I can or cannot say. So and sometimes I get so excited and I just get to going, and then, you know, before you know it, something's been said that I should not have said. So I don't know what words are not trigger words, but words flagged. There we go. Thank you, Lord. Words that'll flag different things. So I think it'll be better if I link this and you could just check out all these. See, here's a section right here that talks about decoding complex oh wow, the evolution of cybercrime, decoding complexity. Yeah, I can't yeah, because see, some of them. Okay, I'm just gonna tag this below. Okay, I'm gonna tag it so you can read all of this for yourself, because some of these, I'm pretty sure some of these are definitely like flag words, and we're not gonna do that. Okay, so that's something that we need to keep eye on. Also, I do have power outage videos where I discuss some cost-effective ways, some very frugal ways you can prepare your household to the best of your ability for a power outage, and some things that you should have on hand to kind of help during a grid down crisis. Okay, so let's see. The next thing I wanted to look into was, when have there been like power outages, and like how long did they last? And you know, so I wanted to see if I could find a little bit of information on that, and I came across this here. So it is on electricchoice.com, and it says 9 of the worst power outages in United States history. America's electric grid is made up of more than 450 miles of high voltage transmission line. And let's see, we're not gonna read all of that. Okay, here's the first one. Northeast blackout in 1965. It says on Tuesday, November the 9th, 1965, there was a major disruption in the power supply for the Northeast that left over 30 million people without power. And it says this blackout lasted up to 13 hours. And then it talks about the different areas that it affected: Connecticut, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, New Jersey, New York, Rhode Island, Pennsylvania, and Vermont. And so that one lasted 13 hours. Okay, let's see when the next one was. The next one was in New York City in 1977. This blackout was caused by a lightning strike, okay, at the Hudson River. And then let's see if it says how long this one was out. By the end of the blackout, by the end of this blackout, it says over 4,500 looters were arrested, and 550 police officers were injured. This right here is what's scary, because like in that movie, they lived, even though they lived like way up in the mountain, so they had to go down the mountain to like, you know how in those movies there's like a general store. Well, normally more like there has been gangs that has formed and there's a lot of looting going on, and so it's scary to have to leave your home to go down and get supplies, because you know who else is getting supplies? A lot of people, pretty much everyone is getting supplies. So you're in the middle of all of this craziness. You know, let's say if you are a stay-at-home mom, you know, and your husband's off at work somewhere and this happens, he's trying to make it home and you're not prepared. So that means you have to gather up the children and take your children out in that mess. Absolutely not. That's why it's very important that you become a woman of preparedness, okay? That is why, even, and it doesn't, you may say, I don't even have extra money. I have a video that talks about the supplies that you can get at Dollar Tree and how to use these supplies effectively, have them on hand for your family. I have a video where I talked about, you know, when you go to the grocery store, you make your online orders, just add 2 or 3 cans of canned goods or whatever to that order, so you can just start building you a pantry that way, you know, not trying to do everything at one time, but just gradually doing it. And I also talked about, let's say, thank God it's warmer now, but if it was the winter time, about how you know, thrifting and antiquing and going into the thrift stores and just finding oil lamps, sleeping bags, radios, things like that. You know, those sort of supplies are going to be imperative for you to keep on hand, okay? And so this is things that you, as a lady of the house, this is the area where you can take care of. So that's a burden that can be lifted off your husband. Yes, he can do the heavy, you know, like fortifying the house and doing all of that kind of thing, self-defense, which he can train you to do that as well, and all that kind of stuff. Or meanwhile, he knows that he is providing and you're being a great overseer of the finances, and you're stocking and you're you know, just making sure the home is okay. So we don't want to be like I see in the movies where the women, you have to go out to the store. There's these, in these movies, these are the biggest men, the most scariest men out, and you're trying to carry your, let's say you got a baby, you got, you know, a toddler, and you're trying to carry everyone in the store and get these supplies. Absolutely not. That's going to be so dangerous, okay? So dangerous, because it says right here, what did I say? Almost 5,000 people were injured and almost 600 cops was hurt. Just cops were injured, okay? So imagine you as a woman with children, okay? So this is things that we need to definitely focus on right now, especially with the report that I just read from the World Economic Forum. This area, ladies, we need to be locked in. We need to zoom in, have a bird eye vision right here in this area, and start doing things gradually, whether it's grabbing a pack of batteries, extra batteries, grabbing some candles, grabbing lamp oil. I was fortunate enough to have a dear friend of mine, a subscriber, reach out to me, and she got me some things off my Amazon wish list. She got me this, she know that I love oil lamps, so she got me some wicks and oil for my lamps, and so I'm just so grateful. You know, things like that, I just adore. I love it. Not only does oil lamps put such a lovely, and candles, you know, put such a lovely ambience in your home, and it makes it all warm and cozy, but also those candles are going to help you see when the power is out, okay? And if it's cold, some candles even give off heat, okay? So I don't know how I got there, but that was just a download from the Most High about not having what you need and having a take kids out. We do not want that, you know. Okay, so the next one that was in New York City. Um, the next one says West Coast blackout. This was in 1982, and it says high winds were the cause of a major blackout along the coast of the western United States. On December the 22nd, it says the winds knocked out a key transmission tower in a line tower, causing 3 other towers to fail and a whole bunch of other problems to occur. Let's see. And it says it was estimated that around 2 million businesses and homes went without electricity during this blackout. It's not telling me. I was hoping these would tell me about how long the power outages lasted, but this don't. But that's a lot. 2 million businesses and homes. Okay. The fourth one says Western North America blackout in 1996. This blackout actually refers to 2 blackouts that occurred 6 weeks apart in the same area. Whoa, could you imagine 6 weeks apart in the same area? Look at that. It is believed that both power outages occurred because of high demand during hot summer months in July and August. I don't know. You know, they were saying that some atmospheric, I don't even know. Everybody was like, what is that? When they're discussing the Portugal and Madrid and their power outage, they were saying it was some sort of atmospheric something. Did y'all remember hearing that? So this one, it says, luckily, Montana, Utah, New Mexico, California, and Arizona, luckily for the 2 million people affected, power was restored in 1 to 2 hours. Okay. You may say that's not that much. But we're gonna dive into that. Okay. And you got to think, it says the second major power outage was caused by an intense summer heat. So in a total of around 4 million people went without power from anywhere between a few minutes to several hours. So, okay. It says the next one was north central U.S. in 1998. A lightning storm in Minnesota struck a line which caused a transmission failure. And then it says the eastern grid, there people went without power for up to 19 hours. Wow. In areas of upper Midwest and central Canada, 19 hours. That's a long time to be without power. And then it says a northeast blackout of 2003 is the second most widespread power outage in history, much larger than the northeast blackout of 1965. It says in America alone, this blackout affected 45 million people. Okay. It says this blackout alone affected 45 million people in 8 states. That was the Northeast blackout of 2003. So let's see if it says anything else. No. So then it talks about a Southwest blackout of 2011. This blackout is considered to be the largest in California. And let's see how. So a technician switched major equipment and caused the power to fail for around 12 hours. And this one affected 2.7 million Americans. And that was in 2011. It says the Southwest. And then there was one in 2012. And this one resulting in damage caused 4.2 million people across 11 states and the District of Columbia to lose power. In some areas, power restoration took 7 to 10 days. Can you imagine not having power for 7 to 10 days. Now imagine that with your little ones, no power. During the day, you may be fine, but come nightfall, trying to feed your baby and do all of this, have meals and stuff. This is stuff that has to be taken care of right now while you have power, okay? And then number 9 is Hurricane Sandy from 2012. A lot of us remember that one too. It was a massive hurricane that impacted 24 American states in 2012. So Florida, Maine, Michigan, Wisconsin, New Jersey, New York. And some people even had to go without power for 2 weeks. And it says the damage to New York alone was estimated at 18 billion of the total 17.4 billion in damages to the rest of the United States. Whoa. So that was 9 of the worst power outages in America's history. Now, I'm not sure when this was published. I don't see a date on here, but this article can be found on Electric Choice. So that's where that came from. And so after reading that, I was thinking, like, how quickly would society collapse? Like, after, say, the power goes out, like, how quickly will we start going crazy? Like, how quickly will people start losing their mind? And so let's see if we can find some information on that, because I think this will really bring everything home. And I think it will give us like a more detailed look into how things can escalate like so quickly. So let's see. Okay. Without power, society could potentially last for a few days to a couple of weeks. And it says, depending on the severity of the outage and the available resources, key systems like water pumping, food distribution, and medical care would be severely affected. And the breakdown of these systems could lead to significant challenges and potential loss. Okay. So it says, here's a more detailed breakdown. Within 24 to 48 hours, water pumping stations may shut down, leading to water shortages, and food supply chain will be disrupted. This is in just 24 to 48 hours. So water storage is very important. Water purification. Because if you got city water and all of that has stopped, water purification is going to be very important, as also water having a good amount of a water supply. And then it says within 72 hours, civilization would be at a critical point, as essential services like hospitals could become non-functional. And panic could, yes. And then that's when panic's going to break out. So let's see, within 24 to 48 hours, this is where we know, like, it's very important. You're going to have a water supply. Purification, ways to purify your water and things like that. Okay. 72 hours. This is where it's going to be very good to have your first aid on hand. It's going to be good to have medical supplies on hand, because it says that hospitals could become non-functional. So for caregivers, for families that have elderly family members or medical fragile children, or medical fragile family members, this is where things need to be already set in place. Generators, power stations, backup things to help accommodate them during a time like this, because the last thing you would want to do is not have a way to take care of them during this time, especially if there's a strong chance, and then the movies too, there's a strong chance that, you know, hospitals could become non-functional. So, whew, and that's only in 72 hours, okay? And it says days to weeks. The longer the power outage lasts, the more resources like water, fuel, and medical supplies would be depleted, and the more likely social order would be disrupted. Exactly. So you're looking at in the span of days to weeks, your fuel, there's not going to be gas because of course the pump's not going to work. This isn't listed in here, but you got to think during this time span, also the ATM machines and things like that is definitely not going to work. So if you did have to go out, you're not going to be able to use a card of any source. So cash on hand in smaller bills would be your best bet, okay? And then it says you would need your medical supplies and then social order. So somewhere in here, I'm pretty sure martial law is going to be declared, and it's just going to be a lot. So if you don't have your things then, and there's like a lot of restrictions are going to be in place because social order will be disrupted. So it's going to be just a lot of crime, a lot of looting, like it said there, a lot of bad things. I was getting ready, so a lot of bad things. I'm gonna get you to hold for just a second. Okay, so months or years, it says in extreme scenarios such as a large scale grid collapse or a nuclear EMP attack, the power grid could be down for extended periods, leading to a widespread collapse. So that is how quickly things would just unravel and just hit the fan. I mean, within 48 hours, it's bad, especially like with the water supply. So, that is what I found out on that. And I can, this was just, AI generated a response to the question of how quickly, you could just type it in, how quickly will society last without power? Okay. So that's just, it says a few days to a couple of weeks, and that's it. That's literally it. So let's see how fragile, this one is from January. It's from RMI, and it's from January the 12th of 2023. These actually look like they're all from 2023. This one is Forbes 2023. It says America's electric grid is weakening, and that was from Forbes. And then this one from RMI. This is from January of 2023. It says the United States has the only major power grid without a plan. The U.S. grid, oh wow, okay, let's see. The U.S. grid, all the ads are popping up. It's often referred to as the greatest machine in the world. It is indeed an engineering marvel, a network of several hundred miles of power lines connected, thousands of electric generators. Okay, we don't want to. Okay, here we go. The reality. The U.S. power grid is in fact highly fragmented and consists of not one, but 3 different sections. These are called the Eastern, Western, and it says ERCOT interconnections. 3 separate power grids. 3 separate power grids that are almost completely isolated from one another. Electrically speaking, to make matters worse, the high voltage, long distance electric transmission lines that form the backbone of each of these grids are largely planned in even greater location isolation. Today, there are 12 different transmissions planning regions, all are which from the ERCOT. Well, there you have it. Fragmented, vulnerable. Okay, well, that's what we have. I also brought my book back out. I've talked about this little tiny manual right here, what to do when the power fails. I will link this below, but it just kind of walks you through things that you can do. It starts off with saying things that you can do before the power fails. Okay. And then it's called electrical preparedness. I like the sound of that. Electrical preparedness. So that's what we're discussing today. It gives a list of foods that you should have on hand. Foods as well. This is emergency supplies that you should have on hand. I'm going to go through them really quick, okay? A battery operated radio with extra batteries. This is actually very important. Is to have lots of batteries on hand, extra batteries, rechargeable batteries, a camp stove, candles, a can opener, cooking and eating utensils, emergency blankets or sleeping bags, fire extinguisher. Very, very, very important to have. First aid kits, flashlights, extra batteries, household essentials, detergents, towels. It says a jackknife, kerosene or a gas lantern, masking or duct tape, matches, medication, non-perishable foods, so all your canned goods and such, personal care items, soap, toothbrush, toothpaste, pet food, lady products, feminine products, spare fuel, warm clothing, and water purification tablets. And there's something else on here that I don't see. It says spare fuel, so like extra gas. But on the movie that I was watching, some people had came to their house, like they were tucked away in their home. But people were coming in, they were trying to break into their home. And so the dad had like an older car because, depending on what causes a power outage, some cars will not work. If it's a EMP, then some cars are not going to work. And it's normally you see them, the cars are stalled on the highway, they're all on side of the road, and you just you can't go. But in this movie I noticed that the guy had an older car in the garage, and so obviously I guess he had not cranked the car since the pandemic had started, or since the blackout or whatever. And so he tries to crank it because the people are breaking in the house. So this is their way out, like to jump in this car and just go. So he's trying and the car won't start. And then he had an extra battery. He had an extra car battery. And so he was able to just get that battery in super quick. And that's how that saved their life from them getting, in real life, I doubt you're going to sit there and have time to put a battery in the car, which they don't take long. I'll have to get someone on here to talk about that, but it's not going to take long to put in. But when you're fidgety and, a power outage and, all of this trying to get a battery going and all. Yeah. So, that's one thing that I noticed in the movie. He had an extra battery for the car and the car started and they were able to leave. So they said extra fuel, but he had an extra battery, extra car battery, just in case. So I thought that was something that was really, really good because, those batteries do drain, and if they're sitting for a long time and all of this. So I was like, what, that's a good idea. But this book right here is a good read. It's not going to take you a long time. It just has, a lot of safety and preparedness steps to take during a blackout. So I will also link this little pamphlet below. And yeah, that's all I wanted to talk about today. If you have any suggestions or ideas or concerns or anything, I will have my email in the description box. And I will link the Global Cybersecurity Outlook pamphlets below as well. So thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.